Hello, everyone. Welcome to Highway to Brunch 5. We are facing off on the eternal question, are you team breakfast or are you team lunch? John, Mecca, team breakfast, team lunch?
Team breakfast, it's not even a question.
It's not a question, except that Team Brunch has chosen pizza for everything, and I love pizza. So you know what, Brunchy, you got me. You got me this time. I love pizza.
Yeah, Lofoz has taken the third option, which is team pizza, which you can do breakfast pizza.
You can do breakfast pizza, but I have to go, like, as much as I don't like that we dumpstered waffle on Vitasia's side. So that betrayal puts me on Team Pizza this time. So we're going for Team Pizza, Team Brunch.
Breakfast can spark joy at any moment. Breakfast at breakfast time, great.
No question.
Breakfast for lunch, great. If it's 2:00 in the morning and you're in Jersey with me at a diner, you're not getting pizza at that point. You're getting breakfast. You're getting your 2 eggs. You're getting your Taylor ham pork roll wherever you're from. You're getting some dry white toast with some breakfast. It's breakfast. The answer is breakfast. To literally everything. It's not 42. It's breakfast.
The answer is breakfast, but Lofoz said pizza for all of the options, and I have to respect that. Plus, dumpstering waffle is not okay. Not okay. Waffles are great.
Well, look,
not okay.
We will see how this all plays out, but I'm going to swap it all over to actual Final Fantasy IV times. So have fun, you two.
Oh, is there a match? Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. 60 mists. Okay, that should be fine.
60 mists. That's hot.
Welcome.
I don't like that you dumpstered eggs, though, Lofoz. Don't like that, but...
welcome to a tournament match here in the Waning bracket of Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. My name is John Burkhead, and with me is my arty bro brethren from Adamant Cup, Mecca. Mecca, how you doing, bud?
All right. Yeah, Brick had my number 3 times in that.
Only twice.
Only twice?
Only twice.
And sadly, we're going to miss each other this time unless Brick drops one, which doesn't seem likely.
Well, that's a funnel cakes might have something to say about that. But we have an exciting match, right? We have a very exciting match in front of us here.
That's right.
Vitasia versus Lofoz, both very, very, very good runners. Hopefully that we don't have to find 6 D-mists, because sure, some of them might be in spots where the HP is low, but I have to imagine that some of those later D-mists might be a little bit bad. Hey, there are the bosses.
Yep. No, there's some rough places for D-mist, especially if you're playing a heavy berserker party. Like, he just slows you down.
Yeah,
and we're off.
We are off.
Just in time.
My goodness. Heading off to the sea like you're going for breakfast at brunch, and we have a Sid start. How do you feel about Sid early on?
Sid early on is a big pile of HP with some reasonable mid-game weapons. Right, he's better than most of the overworld start people you get. Like, he's better than Kain to start, but his utility often trails off, and he's used as an anchor, right? Like in the mid to later game, as you start to power people up. Remember, in randomizers, you will have more power than average. Right, like, because it's averaging the power not in the same way that the game does. So, like, you will start with higher power than average, and you will end with, you know, the same power as you would in the end game of the normal game.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
With T Wildish, as we see Lofoz going to find some characters, and Vitasia also going to find some characters, so we're going to get a lot of information in a short amount of time. Sid can equip a lot of stuff: bows and arrows, hammers, axes. So early utility for him is wonderful.
Yes. With the back row glitch on too, that back row ability is important. But the characters we got both the dual handers here, with Yang and Edge, and another good character with Kain in the Watery Pass.
Can I tell you something? I got to give Lofoz credit, because the dedication to the meme and the lunch and the brunch and everything. If I'm going to if I'm in my menu and I'm looking to heal people up or equip, it's like, okay, so Pizza's going to get the Murasame, but then Pizza's going to get the Poison Axe, but then Pizza needs the Thunderclaw. Props, because that would make...
Yeah, the mono same name thing is absolute commitment.
All right, so we got an early boss check with Lofoz. Who we got? A non-required Ashura. So that's a potentially rude fight to be out off the table. It's typically free, but it's never.
It's not necessarily fast.
Yeah, it can be a little awkward.
Mm-hmm. And we have Rydia, finally a black mage to go with our party. Lofoz going into Watery Pass. We'll see if he wants to loot more than Vitasia did.
No early source of exit, so it's a little hard to go, terribly deep in without it being too much of an issue.
I agree with
However,
that.
however, we do have kind of some of our checkoffs, right? Warp glitches on, so we have Viridia, so we have warp.
Mhm.
Exit is something that you want to go ahead and have, and while we haven't seen if it's possibly a Cecil or a Tella on Ordeals, who's our last character, once Rosa does go ahead and complete the Tower of Zot, whenever that is, if that is, we'll have exit. So some of the, and we have good DPS with the Cane once you get equipment, and especially with that edge. So while of course you want to see Cecil, you might want to see a Tella for the utility. This is not a terrible set of characters for this part.
The legendary Drain Spear start for for Kane.
It's very nice of Kane to start with a dart for edge. For someone who's been betraying people, in canon for so long, that's a very nice thing for him to do. It's very generous.
I think it's more important that he came prepared. He came prepared for those mimosas, right? Like he's got a straw.
Yeah, I could go for a drink. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, so that's the
professional.
That's the wrong brand of Mylon. We're looking for Mylon and Friends. That's Mylon Z over at the waterfall.
Yep.
Vitasia's going to go ahead and give us a look over at who's on hops.
Yeah, so Vitasia is, and it looks like Lofoz as well, is prioritizing these open boss checks, and we do have a sparkle or two. We have 2 sparkles in our mix, so we gotta wait for this one, and it is one of our bosses.
Yep. So Plague being flying here, the arrows will do a little bit of extra damage. There's not that much HP. They should be able to go ahead and kind of get this through. Rosa giving Rydia just a... Was the critical attack really necessary? I guess it was.
I don't think it was.
The HP Rosa, but we might be running out of time here.
Yeah, I think it was both a where like Rydia is an agility anchor possibility and an attempt to life, but sadly, the numbers just came down too fast.
Yeah.
But Vitasia has the knowledge now, even if she doesn't run back and try it again.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back whenever you really want and just one shot that, no problem. So
Exactly.
wipes are always unfortunate, but I don't think it's going to be terribly costly for him.
Nah, I don't think so either. Vitasia going to get characters 5 and 6. So they'll have the same knowledge as Lofoz.
Oh, look at Rydia helping with 15. That's adorable.
There we go. The jump got into triple digits with the Drain Spear. The Drain Spear is a -10s as opposed to the Drain Sword's -5, so it really puts your stats in a bad place, especially early. Like it's not a good start. It is a good dart though.
Speaking of bad place, Plague really showing off just how incredibly trolly Plague can be at certain spots. Back attack at Ordeals is legendarily awful. But early on here, when you're in a race, you're in a boss hunt, you just want to get it done. You're like, I can go ahead and do it, and cause a little bit of issue. That was a crystal ring.
Yes. All right. That's crystal that we don't need Cecil to use.
Correct. It's also a wonderful piece of defense and a +5 agility. So if you fast anchor with edge and you throw that crystal ring on top of it, some of these early bosses might be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and the dragon protection doesn't go awry either. The Zeus Gauntlet from Edward.
And Twin for Vitasia. So we are Cecil-less, we are Tella-less, and at the moment, we are Exit-less. So I wonder if this is going to prompt some of our runners to maybe do a little additional shopping into those item shops to try to find some exits. Because if we do Twin Harp, if we have to leave the LST and a handful of other places, not having exit can be a little rude.
Here you always want a second weapon for Edge because it changes his attack formula. Even if it's a claw, it'll upgrade his damage. Even though claws are 0 attack, it just fixes his attack formula for the better. So, but yeah, no, we do see that extra looting, right? Like we see the open Troya treasury here. As Vitasia climbs the mountain, we'll get no character here, but 3 bosses is 3 bosses.
Absolutely. And you have the rare possibility where if you save after the back attack, you can do a hard reset if both it's not a key item that's needed or useful, as we see Odin in the first spot, or if the boss isn't required. So it's not very often you see a warp out of the altar there at the top of Ordeals, but we might be seeing that here today.
That's a good call out. That's good techie play. You're right. You very rarely see it because usually you have some value there. But if there's no value, you can reset out of the cutscene and the fight.
Yep. So speaking of good tech, these Thor Rages are they're given in the kit, I would assume, by our developers to go ahead and make sure that should we run into a Kenatsu at a root spot, we have the utility to go ahead and defeat it. However, Vitasia, understanding that given the extreme weakness to Odin, which I still don't, understand in terms of like the logic, but we're not going to get into that. Maybe we'll, I don't know. But regardless, you see how quickly those Thor Rages are dispensing of Odin, so very, very good tech for Vitasia there.
Yep. Meanwhile, Lofoz does the thing I love and sees if we've got Rydia, do we want to check the shop for Leviathan, and hits. So Lofoz has the ability to trivialize the overworld, where like if they can get that Leviathan online.
Yep, I think utilizing a Siren on Ordeals is 5,500 XP. Pretty sure that Rydia would get a sling because she starts over at level 1.
Yep.
We're also seeing the Blizzard Spear that was found in the free treasure over at Troy. I believe it was mentioned in chat that there's also a Dwarf Axe in Troy, which means that we can go ahead and back row Arcane and possibly use it to anchor our Sid later on.
Yep, and we did back row Kane when we were in our menu there. So well, Bahamut, not a particularly hard boss since the starting kit you mentioned not only gives us 10 Thor Rages, but it gives us some allotment of Star Veils. So we will have access to Reflect, and we see it there, and that's enough.
That is just a little bit enough, yeah. That should go ahead and take care of that.
Double his health will do it. Yeah,
just a very little bit. So. Very good understanding again of Vitasia, understanding the magic is high enough that we don't have to go ahead and use Star Veils for everybody. If you were to use 5 there, that puts you in trouble for Golbez later on, or Wyvern, or your Z fight. So, really smart heads up play all the way around. Yeah. Lofoz is going deep where we are. He's gonna, I guess, check out the boss.
The boss check.
I mean, it's a free
with no exit, right? Like, so you loot on the way out.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so that's also heads up, right?
The rat tail, we'll be keeping that. And we can turn it in right away with the hook and Octoman.
All right. Yeah, the rat tails, definitely something to do on the overworld. Ooh, that's a free boss with those coffins that we could buy. There was coffins and Leviathan there.
Yep. I don't know if you want to go in right away.
I don't know that you do either, but now you know.
But so here's where my mind goes. Ooh, nice crystal. Here's where my mind goes with this, and I gotta say that right away, which is excellent. The main reason to go ahead and do Evelyn, typically in these flags, is to go ahead and get, a Holy Sword for Cecil. Well, we have no Cecil.
That's right.
Secondary, if you have a Palom or a Rosa, which we do, you might want to go ahead and get Blank or Berserk. And so the XP that you get from there is extremely useful.
Yep.
Now, Queen has an opportunity to be very, very, very rude. So, just because this spot is free doesn't mean that you necessarily go ahead and fly down, but it has to make you tempted. Maybe you skip Cave Evelyn. Maybe you skip those 4 or 5 minutes. You get your XP from eggs later on, and you take the gamble.
Yeah, I mean, we got a note that his attack power there doubled by adding that short sword. Right. That's not just because it's a short sword. No, you get to add your strength again, right? Like to the formula. So even with a fire claw, right? Like you get better numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's like Edge is now into the point where he's doing real damage. Right.
Yep. And did he find the monster chest, or did he just avoid it like a? I'm gonna say it.
It's
like a ninja.
Yeah. It looks like it's in the infirmary. The 2 pots in there can be monsters. It's uncommon, but it's there.
Well,
Sorcerers.
That's a nice piece of gear, especially if you're gonna go Leviathan strats.
Right. And having looted back here, are they going to buy more coffins, or are they just getting their inventory clean?
Maybe a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Speaking of cleaning up the inventory, Vitasia is going to go ahead and take care of some things in there.
Goodbye, lightsaber. Not interested in throwing that. And I think that was a Leviathan buy. Yeah. So, yep. Lofoz is on Leviathan train, possibly keeping Rydia up.
Yeah.
Lugay.
Dr. Luge. So with a edge fast anchor, I think you can go ahead and avoid all the things.
Yep.
So Banal will be weak to the thunder. This version of Dr. Luge won't, and then the second version will. But it really doesn't matter. We're talking like what, 400 HP split over 3 different. I mean, this is
4 different, because Battle Z gets a chunk too.
Oh, yeah, so,
These are incredibly soft, Dr. Luge. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but more importantly, we skip all the dialogue.
Yep. Skip all the dialogue, get a little less XP because, but ooh, Sparkle.
All right.
Wyvern. That is a boss that we need to defeat, or we want to defeat, but
This is a great spot for Wyvern. The only downside to here is that the Blarg will not go ahead and kill itself, but the spot is so slow and that edge is so fast that the Blarg will probably take out about like 2,700. There's only 4,000 at this spot, and then never mind.
Well, when you reflect 4 of them,
well,
yeah,
that's that.
Vitasia used 4th for exactly the same reason that he only used 1. And the Earth Crystal. Earth Crystal's great. Vitasia hasn't done a ton of looting, and these are high value chests that Vitasia just got access to.
So Rosa's gonna get some exit, and Vitasia's gonna get some gear, and in just a little while, I think we're gonna get to play one of chat's favorite games.
That's right. But yeah, that edge gear though that we're looking at is important, right? Like we're on Short Sword Thunderclaw, right? Like we're about to turn that into more than likely at least like a long, if not a ninja or a Mura, right?
Yep.
Like we're looking at really upgrading edge to the end game here.
You bring up an excellent point that Kane, Edge, Sid.
Yep.
These are characters who don't necessarily need levels, but of course they benefit from them. But they need gear. And on T Wildish, Vitasia is going to show us just how kind or maybe how cruel this treasury can be.
That's right. Meanwhile, Lofoz is up on the mountain, also realizing that they have the Thor's Rages, so Odin will go down pretty smoothly and give them their first boss.
Yeah. So Vitasia remembered to check bedward. Not that any of us would ever go ahead and forget. So that Zeus Gauntlet will go ahead and help. Maybe we'll see more Zeus Gauntlets or Power Shirts or Masses of Muras. Feel like playing a game, Mecca?
Yeah, I think we should play a game. There's a lot of chests in there, and it's hard to evaluate them all, so we have a little game.
Raise that treasury!
All right, what we got?
Right, let's see.
Power shirt, bandana,
Claw,
protect ring, dart.
throw. Yeah. Artemis bow. That's a big hit.
Oh, Bahamut. And the Stardust Rod.
Wow, you're sad that Riddy is gone, been put to the side now. That's for sure.
A little bit.
Because that Stardust Rod and Bahamut will definitely do some great work. But we missed it. The big thing we missed is weapons for Edge, right? Like Edge is still stuck with short garbage, and we still didn't hit one for Kane either, right?
True.
So Vitasia's Kane is really underpowered at this moment.
Yeah, if Vitasia goes into the free treasury, he'll go ahead and find a Blizzard Spear. I think at 16 minutes in, it's certainly early enough that we can go ahead and take ourselves a little trip down to the Tower of Wishes. That Bahamut is a game changer. That is, I mean, it won't help for Z, obviously, but we saw Sork Ropes for sale. Yep, Stardust Rod, that's what, plus 25 wisdom right there.
Yeah.
And I know that Riddy is the weaker of the two, but combine that with some Mega Flare, and I think that's enough reason to go ahead and go back and get her. And it looks like Vitasia will get some more goodies.
Yep. And like I mentioned, where Leviathan trivializes the overworld, Bahamut trivializes the underworld and to some degree the moon. Because it's nuke well before you get nuke, right? Like it's essentially AOE nuke, right? Like in terms of its multiplier, how it uses multipliers in terms of its power. So right, like it can pierce defense at Dark Elf, even though Dark Elf has 254 magic defense, right? Like it's just Bahamut lets you cast nuke very early.
Same with some of the Val spots where it's not 255 magic defense when she's in her spin. So I'm going to be very curious to see what Vitasia does with Sid here. That's a base level Sid at level 20. He just picked up the Dwarf Axe out of the free treasury, out of the pot next to it. I'll be curious to see if Sid goes down, stays up, because you could really be set up for an anchor. Dwarf Axe base level Sid makes it relatively easy. See what I did there? For everyone to go ahead and be RA1.
Yeah. No, Sid makes a great anchor. Where did we get that cursed ring? We both noted it, but I forgot where we saw it.
The cursed ring was in Cave Evelyn, and with Vitasia having done the treasury, I think it's understandable to not want to loot in there, especially, especially since that Staleman chest is like the worst chest in the game.
Yes. No, I agree with that. But we'll see. Like, if Vitasia does grab that cursed ring, right, like, then, you know, everything's go in terms of an anchor. And Lofoz doing the thing you kind of mentioned before, although not with Rydia, cracking Siren for 5k plus.
Yeah, I think it's about 5,500 here. Probably looking to get Palom up to either Virus or Quake, probably Virus. And it's a tremendously powerful spell that he learns fairly early at level 20. I don't know which one of these pizzas this is, but
no luck there.
Meanwhile, get your dudes in chat. Paging one J-Mac the Librarian, because we have a rather slow Paladin in Zot 1.
Yep, it's a slow Paladin with slow spells, 9,000 HP, because this is the 999 spot, and this doesn't look like it's going to be too hard. Paladin is usually more annoying than hard. It's hard, generally, but otherwise, as long as you don't summon on him or try be stuck behind the ability to use elemental attacks, you're fine.
Yeah, I know that there's one Cat Claw on Yang. I don't know if he has a Fire Claw on for the second. Might be better off just to take that off at the moment.
I think it's poison. I think that there was a poison claw found, so just purely non-elemental with stats.
Gotcha. So, utilizing the darts, this is a great time for them.
Shurikens don't scale well. Using them early is great.
Yeah, unlike Ninja Stars, which can get more powerful as time goes on.
Yeah, Shurikens can get more powerful, but their base is just tough. But yeah, Ninja Stars are definitely Ninja Sword in the Baron Inn, which Vitasia did not check. That's a significant power upgrade. Yeah, another 30-something.
T Wildish is going to T Wildish. So Lofoz is going to discover his Blarg coming to a Baron Inn near you. Meanwhile, Vitasia has completed his Paladin. I don't believe he put Sid down. We have seen this Zot 2 spot can be a little bit tricky. We'll see how he does his anchoring. Also, we get to do everyone's favorite thing in ZZ5. It's pig meta time.
That's right. So the color of the pig's snout and ears generally determines which boss, like which half of the bosses that are from, and there are a few special exceptions.
Yeah, I personally love the Void Pig.
The Void Pig is great.
It sparks joy in my life.
It sparks joy in my life too, but Void Pig is the orb, right?
It is. Yeah. But that's yellow, which means it could be a blue or a purple sprite. So it's possible Golbez, possible Gauntlet. We've seen King Queen. We know that is at Baron 1. I
think the big things are Gauntlet and Golbez that we're hoping for here.
Yeah.
Just Kanazo.
So Kanazo a little rude here. 6,000 HP at this spot. Opting to go ahead and nerf the wave when it comes.
Well, if we if we have any Thor's Rages left at the time, okay, here we go.
There we go. Yeah. So Kanazo
shoving Thor's Rages into the queue.
Yeah. Right. Kanazo only weak to thunder when the water is up, otherwise weak to ice. So that Blizzard Spear, should they be able to cycle around back to Cam, would be useful. I think Lofoz had picked up an Ice Claw in Cave Evelyn. I don't believe that Vitasia has one.
Very notable here. Lofoz bought a Sylph, right? Like that. I mean, they have a plan for Rydia, right? Like I don't know what it is, but they have a plan for Rydia. And when they get to the Earth Crystal Treasury, because they just got the Earth Crystal, they will be very pleased to find out that Rydia has a plan for us.
Yeah, I think we're going to see quite a bit of Blarg during this seed. I hear that Mega Nuke is a pretty strong, pretty good spell.
Yep. But it's just interesting because Rydia has been put aside from Baron Key at Rat Tail. Wow, the overworld is waiting.
That's a really nice find. First of all, we know we have a required boss because King Queen are in the vanilla Baiken spot, so we now know where 3 of our 8 boss locations are. It's good for Lofoz because he can do Zot right into Baron because he will, if you complete Zot, it'll drop you off right at Baron. That Baron key for a lot of these seeds has really been huge. It feels like it is almost always at least partially required.
Yep. No, Baron Key is one of the big items I'm either seeking or glad to have early, right? Like because it offers you so much.
Yep, and to have it this early before even worrying about the pass or before having Darkness Crystal, as Vitasia is through. So GG's for him for getting through that, and we see.
Yep.
I don't think we've seen this cave yet, have we? Is this our first look at it?
I think Vitasia rushed through it really quickly earlier.
All right. Am I supposed to pay attention while doing comms? I'll talk to Skull about it off stream.
Yeah, I guess not because we don't have package marked on Vitasia's side. And package is an item you keep, right? Like you don't love it, but you keep it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, coughing heavy here. Excuse me. There's that exit you talked about.
Yep. So, and this will be a spot where, Vitasia, when he inevitably does Antlion, will be able to exit out. So it's a good, 20, 25 seconds. Just a sad Ruby.
Yeah, a sad Ruby. That's a good name people have picked up on.
Yep. As most of you, I'm sure, know, with this particular flag set, there are no earned characters, which was not really a thing prior to this tournament. So while on your more conventional, typical flags, the Sand Ruby will go ahead and give you a character. Here, it just gives you a pig. We know where 4 of the bosses are. I forgot about Plague, and both of our characters are saying, you know what? I am strong. I am here. I am real. Let's go ahead and try this again.
And I think they both have enough power to make this go down. It's a touch over 1,000 HP, right?
Correct.
So they just needed like a cane that could function, right? Like some real damage coming out, and I think both of them have that by now.
Absolutely, yeah. This Plague, you can see the damage rolls are significantly higher. I don't believe that Lofoz's edge is back road. So
no, we haven't seen a boomerang or a moon. Full moon. There we go.
Right, but we do have concurrent.
Heroin robe.
Where?
On Vitasia's side, Fur's chest, or was that? Did I just my eyes completely give out on me?
I think that might have been a dancing dagger.
Okay.
Yes. So unless my eyes have deceived me as well. So nice little bit of parity. We've seen a lot of divergence with the routing, but we are even up at 3-3. Lofoz does have the Baron Key in hand. Vitasia still has not turned in that rat tail, so Lofoz will get some added efficiency. But I have to imagine that after this, Vitasia will more than likely be turning in that rat tail to go ahead and get his Baron Key.
Yeah. And so we're at this point, right? Like Lofoz is going drudgery.
Yep. So
Vitasia is finally finishing the last piece of things that Lofoz has done. Where so after this point, where you could start to say hey, Lofoz or Vitasia is X amount behind, right? Because they've done everything. Right. Once Vitasia gets that rat tail, a turn in where they have done, he has done everything Lofoz has done.
Yep, it's hard to say who's ahead right now. One thing that is for certain is that Lofoz has knowledge that Vitasia doesn't. Lofoz knows that the hook route, at least half the hook route, the Ruby spot, is free, and that coffins are for sale. That King Queen can be terrible. So I think it's likely that Lofoz might go ahead and skip Evelyn because we got we have gear. We have 2 different shops.
I definitely think that Lofoz skips Evelyn with the ninja sword. right? Like you're digging for edge swords at most, really, right? Like because you've got everything to power on a mage, and you've got one mage, right? Like so, like if Lofoz did Castle Evelyn, I'd be surprised. Vitasia, however, doesn't have that ninja sword. His edge is comparatively weak. Evelyn might be tempting, right? Like to try and get edge up to that triple-digit attack power that Lofoz has.
Yeah. The Baron shop is an opportunity to maybe buy them. It's possible that they'll be there for sale.
Sure.
Dropping off for good routing, dropping off the hovercraft, because after this check, assuming it is really the only other thing that he could possibly want to do would be Twin Heart, but I don't foresee that being terribly likely. Vitasia is going into the shop, so we'll see.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, of course. Let's see if Ninja's blades are for sale. Another cat claw.
Lunar Staff, Dragon Whip.
I would have maybe thought about buying that second cat claw when when we talk about Yang being the punch mage because he needs levels. Cat claw helps. They have a poison. They have a power shirt and they have a Zeus gauntlet. I mean that edge. That Yang rather, excuse me, could be doing more with all of that gear, even at relatively low levels. Could be better than Edge at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I actually would be looking for a Cat Claw, and right now we're on Cat Claw Poison, which is good. Right,
Not
like
bad.
these are both stat sticks, but you could be doing better. Like, is your money really that tight? I don't think so.
Not if that treasury, no.
We got a bunch of Cecil gear we just get to sell, right?
So, something that has burned me in my practice seeds that I try to be aware of is the agility and the magic power over at the Baron throwing spot. We know that the King Queen is sitting in the Vigan spot. That'll be free. If it's Golbez up at the top, you can lose a lot of time because I don't know if Vitasia has a true anchor. It can be a little sketchy if you're not careful.
Yeah. No, that spot has good stats.
Yeah, only 4,000 hit points, but the magic defense is surprisingly high. As Vitasia's doing what I think is the right thing to do with the spot this slow, which is just kill instead of waiting for the script to go through. Just having Edge kill his parents. Not that killing your parents is the right thing.
One way or the other, they're going down.
In terms of a speed run, it's the right tactic. As we see 1,300 from Edge or from Yang, so we're seeing just how much that gear is really helping.
Yeah, I mean, this spot also only has about 4,000 HP. We are easily able to push through that, right?
Yes. Lofoz is doing very similar strats to what Vitasia was, which was throwing the shurikens. That Edge still in the back row. They could probably switch Edge and Kane because the Kane should have been back row from the Dwarf Axe, so you could have all your melee doing front row damage. But in the meantime, 30 minutes in, 4 bosses down. I don't know about you, Mecha, but my seats are not usually like this.
Oh, this is fast. The overroad average is 3, more or less, right? Hey, Vigan's moved up in the world.
Yeah, look at that. Look at a little bit of ambition there. So here's where Quake would be nice. I don't. So we don't have.
All we have is Flame. Yeah. Flame and any attack items we've got left over.
Yeah. Also, Blarg would be very nice here, not for nothing.
Yes. Flame is not good enough to take out both arms.
No, but I think we'll see some Berserk here, and while this spot has the potential to be rude, I don't see us doing any real serious problem for Vitasia.
No, like you said, there's only 4,000 HP, and with the arms taking, looks like about 400 of it away on each, that's 3,200 body. Like, it's just not gonna last long with the numbers we saw Yang pushing out. Right,
So I think one more shot in the body's gonna.
One more shot in the body does it. Yeah, it's just all right. Lofoz got Berserk on his side, right, like from that Pale Dim fight. So yeah, the white mages are online.
Yeah, that
explosion. 14 and we are through the throne.
Oh, that's funny. So Blink also very handy. Blink going into the hook route can be incredibly useful. That King Queen spot, depending on the bosses that we have, can punch quite a bit. We're looking for D-Mist. If D-Mist is there, it punches. Something as normally light as Dimps. If Dimps are there, they can punch quite hard. They do. they do. Blink going into the hook route is a nice little bit of security, and it makes it just even that much less likely that Cave Eplin will be skipped, which in all likelihood is probably the right decision because of the knowledge that Lofoz has shown us that it is some kind of guard at the spot.
Yeah. All right, our key item is just an Avenger Sword, which is a great upgrade for Kane. Kane's been looking for a weapon, and that's one of his best, maybe his best.
Yeah, I would argue with how just an Avenger. I
would argue with just an Avenger.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, my joke with Possum is that I hope one day to find a woman that looks at me the way that man looks at an Avenger. That's that is huge. That is just a tremendous pickup. I know that a defense sword is typically considered to be his ultimate weapon, but I would argue that it's really the Avenger.
It's really the Avenger, right? Like that's kind of where I am too. It's just, it gives extra stats. Berserk makes you faster. Leviathan at the Underthrone is not required. They're not an objective, so we're out of there.
Yep. To answer your question in chat, I think he saved. Goodness gracious, I hope he saved.
That wave didn't even do that much. I think that Lofoz is fine now. Like the Kanazu got off a wave and it barely touched people.
Yeah, he was asking if Vitasia had saved after completing.
Oh God! Yeah, I hope so.
That's... Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep, Avenger in inventory.
And Avenger out of inventory. So, Vitasia at 33 minutes, heading down the hook route. When you consider the fact that all of Zot was done, all of Baron was done and or checked, to be heading down the hook route without a Cecil that blows up the seed. 34 minutes heading down here is an excellent time.
Yeah, no, this, with the overworld essentially done, like, as far as you can take it, this is a good time to be, headed down the hook route and pretty confident that you can handle anything you throw your way. Shortly going to learn of the coffins. Yep.
Look at that money. That's
so much money.
Don't do it.
Yep. No, do it. It's so much money.
Oh man, that X-Cal.
You know how many drain spears that can buy?
It can buy as many drain spears as you can get for just darting the X-Cal in the first place.
That's not true.
Okay.
But it is the X-Cal is a bigger chunk.
Yeah. Sork Rope is nice pickup. Assassin Dagger is interesting.
Yeah.
Ninja hat, ninja shirt. Should we find eggs? I don't know if Vitasia knows the tech, but that edge, you get a speed bump from the ninja hat, you get a speed bump from the ninja gi, you get a speed bump from the assassin dagger. That could be a very quick way to crack some eggs if he's familiar with the tech.
I think Vitasia is familiar with the tech, but yeah, we'll have to see what it's about. How status effects rocking weapons in this game actually work.
Yeah, Vitasia is certainly no newbie. He's been around quite a bit, and I think he's already shown off quite a bit of his knowledge base already. And so that could be that's a very that pickup could be incredibly useful and save quite a bit of time because that grind can go much faster now.
We saw the Dwarf Axe find its way onto Sid with Sid in middle slot, so Vitasia switched to slow anchoring.
Yep, Rune Ring's a nice pickup. Silk Web. Mary Knight pointing out a very good point in chat that with the gear that we have, Avengers Kane can probably just crack the eggs up by himself.
Yep. Or at least close to it. Yeah.
So, down the hook route we go. Vitasia did not find that curse string, so we'll see how much of an impact that has. I'm a little surprised that no one picked up Rydia. Bahamut that early. I don't know. That's a very strong point of temptation for me.
Right. I mean, you with the Bahamut, right? Like you can make her your anchor late, especially if you have a curse ring, right? Like you could still just like, oh, like she was great throughout the game, and now she has 4 agility, right? Like you don't have to take her to nuke levels, right? Like you don't have to get her the 1,000,000 HP if she's going to be your anchor at the end.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that, looking ahead to the Z fight, Lofoz might be doing maybe some hybrid strats as Palom has Quake and appears to be in the party for a while. For Vitasia, it's looking very much like all Zerkers all the time here.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean all Berserkers is a very strong Z strat choice, right? It's and yeah, with Lofoz, is the one I'm more surprised by not going back and getting Rydia, but people don't like Rydia that much. Dark Elf
should not really be that much of an issue.
no, doesn't punch until second form, and by then you're all set up. Right?
Yeah.
Like you have your Berserks flowing.
And with Vitasia with the Avenger, we'll just already have Berserk, and we're really seeing... I mean, I know that the magic's going to be low for this anyway, but the magic is incredibly low at this spot to begin with. So this is a relatively free hook route. I wonder if Vitasia will take the Avenger off of Kane before starting the fight, because if that is... It's going to be fine either way. You just do some coffins, then you're done. But if it's Baron Guards... attacking it might make it a little bit of a nuisance.
Right. They counter any damage with if it's physical, they counter with size. If it's magical, they counter with Piggy, which turns off magic. Right. So that Avenger could swiftly turn into a liability. Even though, and as you mentioned, heads up play, make sure that he just doesn't get in the way of those coffins.
I mean, I've definitely never earned a JMac button by,
Oh, that's who makes this.
Yeah, I leave my Avenger on going to Z or anything. No, of course not.
It happens. Lofoz did finish Baron, got the Avenger, and is going back into check. Doesn't want to leave that knowledge behind.
It's understandable. I think there's two schools of thought. You go back for when you can complete it. Although with some Star Veils, I mean, the magic is so high in there that... Leviathan will kill himself quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I think exiting out is still probably the better idea for later. But it certainly can't hurt to have the knowledge and to be aware of that.
Right, especially as your boss count rises, every piece of boss knowledge becomes more important because it lets you know like how much can I face check? What are the odds that my face checks are good? Right, and the higher that the number of bosses you have down is, the better they get. Right? The more gating items you have, like package, earth crystal, etc., the better they get.
Agreed. So Berserk is taking care of these last few soldiers. As all of you can tell, in case you don't already know, once the officer goes down, the soldiers will just start attacking themselves until they run out. Vitasia did have a few extra coffins, but he's electing to keep them. We have some bosses where they can certainly go ahead and be used. They can also be used on eggs, but as we've talked about at length, I think they probably have a pretty good way of clearing that out. But all that being said, Vitasia, 40 minutes in, all of Zot, all of Baron looked at and or checked in the basement, all of the overworld done, and he's underground. That's an excellent time.
Excellent time. And I think that was Antlion, wasn't it? And I think that Vitasia didn't use the coffins because when the HP gets divided for that spot, the lion's share of everything lands on the officer. The soldiers are much lower HP, much lower attack, right? Like they attack each other, right? Like there's just no threat there, right? So you're trading a little bit of technical action speed, right? Like for the benefit of, all of that, all those coffins later, right? There's really no threat.
Yeah, I mean, we might see a Quake come out on Lofoz's side, so that that part of the fight might go through maybe a little bit faster. But like you said, there was never any kind of real threat.
That's right.
So something I am just now realizing, Lofoz has a Black Mage and Vitasia does not. In these flags, we have Warp Glitch. Without a Black Mage, without Rydia, and without Palom at level 29, Vitasia, unless he goes back, as we see Full Moons and Mute Knives, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah,
Vitasia is not going to be able to go ahead and enact a Warp Glitch, and I wonder if this is going to prompt him to change up his party before doing Dwarf Castle.
That is a important thing on these flags. While Vitasia has set themselves up well for Z, I don't love being forced into Luca Key, but Vitasia's going straight away, which indicates that they're willing to maybe they're still shop checking, right? That's still a possibility. Shop checking and checking what the first boss is.
It's certainly possible. When we look at key items remaining, it might not bite him that much unless it is exactly darkness. We are missing Twin Harp, we are missing Tower Key, and we are missing Luca Key. We only have 3 bosses that we don't have access to.
We don't have Steel Sirens this seed. Nice news. Sorry.
It's okay. So I think exactly Pass or exactly Darkness can really go ahead and cost Vitasia with the Warp Glitch. But the fact that we already have Earth and Barren is pretty big. Ooh, big Curse Ring pull for Vitasia.
That is big for Vitasia. I'm missing the first one. But you're right, and I think you're right in a specific way. You mentioned the key items, but the big thing about those key items is they lead you to 2 bosses. There are gating key items, but they only lead you to 1. And like you can always miss 1, right? Like it would have to be required bosses behind, both Twin Harp and you're doing Luca, right? And behind like Twin Harp and Tower Key would have to both have a required boss for you to be punished for, right, like missing a key item that incidental, right? So the odds are low.
Right. The fact that, I don't think it's necessarily possible unless there's some kind of weird gating thing, that whatever is from the sealed cave, the key item is hard required with that boss. I don't think that's necessarily a thing. Vitasia electing to go ahead and throw his X-Cal here. I wonder if this ends up being not required or no bosses, if we're going to see a hard reset to get that back.
I think that would be a smart play, a heads-up play. But yeah, with the Avengers still on, right, like Vitasia was put in the position where you can't just wait it out. And so had to switch into, rapid damage mode.
Right. I think it's about 8K.
Sorry. I was going to say with slow anchoring too, right? But actually Vitasia's fast anchor still.
Yeah, well, he had the knowledge of Magus Sisters at this spot because he completed Zot, so he knew that leaving the Avenger on would be okay here.
No, it is slow. Okay. It is slow anchored. All right.
So it'll be curious to see how what the item is here, because none of these bosses are required, and if he elects to go ahead and hard reset out, because that can be a very valuable dart even in the Z fight. And if he does, will he remember to go in and buy all the gear? Because the full moon, the mute knife, all that, yeah.
And Lofoz is underground, 4 minutes 30 seconds behind Vitasia.
So we'll see what happens here. I mean, if it's, we have to imagine that Lofoz, assuming that Palm is at level 29 or will get to level 29 during the dwarf fights, if that leads to exactly Darkness or the Pass, a lot of that time can be made up very quickly.
And there are, with the Sirens in Dwarf Castle, right, like you could easily pick up the Sirens, crack a couple eggs, right, like get some power. Right.
Yeah. And another thing is, I'm thinking about it. Let's see what the item is here. Just already arrows. So does he reset or no? No. Speaking of ways to kill those eggs, though, those already arrows with one shot. If he does have to go down the sealed cave, he's going to have to walk out of the sealed cave.
Yeah.
He can't warp through the floor.
No warp. Yeah. I mean, those are minor time losses, but they're time losses that Lofoz isn't going to take, right?
And how often do you, I mean, me personally, I have a hard time walking out of there because I don't have that muscle memory. It's not like walking through Zot or Babel. It's how often you really have to go ahead and walk that thing. So that can be a little bit of time. And how many close races have we seen in this amazing tournament?
Yeah. Darkness is a freebie.
Darkness is free. So, how quickly are you in face check mode, and how quickly are you going to the moon? There's no pass. Are you going to go do the giant first? This is the point where your decisions really, really matter.
Yep. You now have, right, like the entire seed except for the gating items we mentioned, right? And really the only way that it could be a breaker is Pan. Right, Pan is still out. Pan could gate 2 gating key items, right? Like Pan is the disaster scenario possibility for Vitasia. right? Like where Luca becomes required.
Yeah. Plumeri pointing out in chat that given the items, the bosses that we found and the key items that we have currently, maybe, and the fact that sirens were available for sale in Dwarf Castle, which is not information that Lofoz has, maybe doing your grind ahead of time would be good. Have we seen Water Hag yet?
We have not seen Water Hag.
Okay, so here's where this is going to be, Lofoz is just hopping in. Here's where this is going to be advantage Vitasia, because Vitasia has that mute knife. And I believe if that edge is RA1, you can go ahead and park edge right at the top there, and you hold A. For the first, I believe, is 4 fights. You're going to be able to just go ahead and take out those conjurers, and then I believe the 5th fight is 2 clappers, and we had hourglasses for sale in the item shop. So for Vitasia, this should be free.
Yeah, and it looks like, unfortunately, Palam's out of position. So where like Palam's Quakes could make a number of these fights easier, and they're just not at Palam's just not at the high, or at high in the order, despite being in second slot.
Yep. So Vitasia hopping in. Lofoz might run into a little bit of issue with the Arachne. She's not floating, and it doesn't do a ton of damage, but it certainly does enough. That edge is still in the back row, and it's still not back row. That continues to cause some problems for Lofoz here. So we see the Avenger doing some work and some Berserks going out with some anchoring. This could possibly go faster, but I do believe that Vitasia, especially with the mute knife, might be a little bit longer, but he certainly has the ability to go ahead.
Ooh, yeah, that's a mute knife.
So we have dueling gauntlets here, which means that we now have 5 out of our 7 bosses. So as we're going through this, please give everybody a follow. Lofoz and Vitasia are putting on just a heck of a race here, as you see them both crashing toward their 5th boss out of 7 under the 50-minute mark, possibly going to the moon and face check mode soon as well. We have Skull Kitty is doing our restream of Heart and Soul Free Enterprise. Without her, we just would not have all the amazing things that we have. We have Darth Plague pushing a lot of buttons because our runners have been very, very, very busy. And please give, again, my Artie Bow buddy, Mecha Link, wonderful runner, incredible knowledge of the game, a veteran of Free Enterprise, much more than I am. Please go ahead and give all these wonderful people a follow.
Thank you. And, of course, John has, really gotten the skills, right? Like, he calls himself, not a veteran, but has put up some pretty good performances in the last few tournaments. So no slouch in knowledge himself.
Oh, thank you very much. So let me ask you, when both of our runners are done here, assuming that they can get through the clappers, which could be a little bit tricky, how quickly are you going to the moon? Are you going to set up Sheila 1? You probably don't go anywhere near the tower. How much do you care about 10 key items? Like, there's a lot of things to think about. So what are your next moves? So I like Sheila 1 because we skipped the goal, right? So we're looking at 2 primary key item checks, right? Like not like, summon or right, like summon or moon checks, right? So that's 2 key item checks. We are dangerously close to a number of key items that matter, right? But beyond that, where I actually do think that Darkness Soon is better than that. I do think Lofoz should do Dwarf, right? Like they similarly, right? Like it's 2 key items and right, 1 unknown boss. If they're in face check mode, which they might be, or he might just look at the first one and say I know that there's nothing here, and just hope that the 2 key items don't matter. I think that's entirely reasonable, given the number of bosses we have, but I would certainly expect that to be, right, if Lofoz does do the moon, he would come, that would be the first thing he does when he comes back down, because it's the highest probability thing left. Sure. But yeah, I really do like doing the Sheila checks, as much as people enjoy skipping them. I think we're close enough where it matters, where it's close to mattering. I mean, especially if this gives a key item, right? If this gives a key item, we're actually within striking distance. Yeah. So Lofoz using that hourglass, that's going to go ahead and make the rest of this free. Life staff is nice. I think they already bought a lunar staff, but the real value there, of course, is the key, the boss being done. Not sure who that Sparkle is, but we've already seen Plague and Wyvern, so we know it's not required. I like setting up Shield 1 here as well. I think it's a nice little bit of insurance in case we go ahead and find our Tower Key or our Twin Harp or our, especially for Vitasia, our Luca Key. And as we get toward 10 key items, that grind can go much, much, much faster with it than with that. So I think Vitasia is doing the right thing here.
And we're looking at like a Siren grind of some sort here, right? Like we don't have weak. Right, and like you don't need a ton of experience, right? So you know, a few eggs would do great by, by Vitasia's team, no question. And so I think that hitting that 10 key items right now, we're not straining for power, right? So I think that it would be pretty good to do this, and Vitasia is right, and Lofoz similarly not interested in that Sparkle, knows what you just said, and so now we'll see what Lofoz is thinking.
Yeah, so Lofoz probably heading down to Dwarf if I had to guess. Nope, I'm gonna do a little shopping first, which I certainly don't hate. I don't believe Lofoz has Kane in his party, so he is not getting the benefit of that Avenger. Oh, he does? Oh, excuse me, I apologize.
Vitasia is going for the package check. Really wants to make sure that Captured Rosa takes this city down.
That is one of the sickest, most ridiculous.
Look at that white fire. You just
what do you mean?
All over this place.
Apparently, Mist is 1620, and we're in Salem, Massachusetts. Everybody, someone taught Rosa how to read. My God, this is. Anyway, I think that for not having the pass, this is a good decision. That Kane's gonna have to die, though.
Expand on that a little. Expand on why not having the pass makes this better decision.
So once you go up the LST, once you're on the moon, you're hoping to find your final set of bosses, and you don't want to have to go ahead and do that walk twice. So if you were to find one boss on the moon / giant, and then find your boss here without the pass, which allows you to get to Zeromus from Terraria, then you can just go ahead. You're gonna have to walk it twice. So while this is a time-consuming check, I think it's a little over 2 minutes, and the odds are not great. I can certainly understand why Vitasia's doing this.
Right. So this is like 2 minutes that you're gambling these 2 minutes on the hope that it saves you, right? Like 4 minutes of walk.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna cut you off 1 second. Scala, do you have additional Piggy meta, so you know who the?
Oh yes, this is here. The pig meta is here. We don't. The warning is like a second or two. Max.
Yeah, but look at chat. She's saying that she was able to figure out who the character would have been if it hadn't been See No Earned.
Oh yes.
Wow.
She does
okay.
have that knowledge. Yeah.
You know, these the pig layers are just we got yellow.
Yellow.
And it's just a water hag.
It's water hag.
Well, it's there is something to the peace of mind of knowing that that package is not burning a hole in your pocket.
Yep.
It does certainly mentally help.
Yep. And then there's the Fabul check. Like I said, 2 primary key item spots. While Lofoz just waits out the fight because didn't have Avenger on.
Which is a good call. And speaking of good call to you. I didn't realize that both of our runners faded the boss here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they both faded Fabul, which is a play I generally respect. There's always the fear if you skip Fabul that it has darkness, but we didn't have D-Money grind, right? Like that's the fear of them getting darkness early. It's D-Money grind to like overwhelming power, and there's a boss.
Wow. So we are 1 boss away. I have to imagine that going. Well, I guess we have time. These ghasts will get. Also, what are the odds that he hits that one? Like, really, Kane? You know what I mean? I guess 20%.
Ain't news who the important person in the fight is, but yeah, these skeletons, these zombies might be ready to brawl.
Yeah, I wonder what Vitasia's battle speed here is. This is taking a little bit. But yeah, if you kill Mylon before those ghasts and you wait too long, they get a little bit punchy.
Yeah.
So we got 6 bosses.
The
without
first
even-
time you have that happen, and then they hit you for like near 9s, and you're just like, what?
Yeah. One of many lessons that I think a lot of us have learned.
Everybody
very
learns
much the
one.
hard way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Fabul double dip minimum is part of this seed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 key items. Let's see what we get here. If you get to 9 and you find a boss on the moon, that boss is guaranteed to be 10. I don't know if you need to check the pan here.
Yeah. Magma. Underground access is here, and 9th key item.
All right, Mecca. You know the peer pressure and the bullying that is coming imminently into the chat. So is it going to be you or is it going to be me?
Huh? I already said that there was underground access. I move on. Scala coming in with the beam save. I love the slanty face, and yep, I think Vitasia has done a good job of extracting all the value out of the earth that you can, and is now ready to go. We're gonna see work. Here's the big question: does giving up that black mage pink tail only? But it is a key item.
It is a key item, but
it's going to get Lofoz to 10 if Lofoz does Sheila 1.
Which I have to assume that
I hope
he will.
that happens. So yeah, like this actually does give Lofoz an advantage. Where like before they launch the whale, before he launches that whale, he will have 10 key items for these sirens.
Yep.
Right? Like that is a big deal.
Yep, and he just bought 20, so he'll have more than enough, which is good. Yeah, Scott, that's great. If someone, it would make my heart soul if someone could record Solaris saying it, and then we could just go ahead and have that to live on forever. There is Solaris saying that line, and then there's literally everybody else.
I mean, I just don't say the line like that, right? Like I just breeze past it. I talk too fast for that joke.
It's so good. So we're gonna go ahead and see how big that 10th key item plays in for grinding. Vitasia's gonna do a little bit of shopping here at the Moon Shop, and then I assume probably heading to K Value first, and then we might see an entire top bottom. Bacchus wine, that is very nice for this party, even though they're with an adventure.
Yep, no, the Bacchus wines are great. There's a Japanese only item that gives Berserk on command. It solves all of your action economy issues with regards to getting Berserk on, 4 people in your party.
And probably the biggest thing, I apologize for cutting you off, is it makes the Z fight so much easier.
Yes.
So that's probably the biggest relief that we're gonna have here.
Yep, definitely true. That's when it makes normal fights smoother, but it makes way smoother to be able to just go, throw a crystal, Berserk. Oh, Rose's turn came back around, Silk Web, and we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Put the controller down. Hover over the white spell for the rest of the thing. Cure 4 when you need it. We're done here.
All right, so we are waiting on either Golbez or D-Mist. D-Mist at really any of these spots is kind of terrible.
Vitasia is not who we're looking for.
Yeah.
But is this the time? It looks like this is where Vitasia is going to try and Siren without 10 key items.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I believe so. So he'll be getting with life glitching 90,000 a pop. He's not trying to get to nuke. I think that maybe getting Rosa to 2,000 HP and Cure 4 is probably enough. Even if he just does enough to get Rosa to Cure 4 now, that might be a nice little bit of safety and security to get through some of these moon fights, and then maybe with the crystal as his 10th key item, he does the rest.
I like that. 38 is Rosa's Cure 4 level, and that's honestly very low. Right. And the melee characters only need to get up into like the mid 40s.
Yeah.
Right. For a solid Z fight.
Agreed. With that Mute Knife, I'd be really tempted to do Warlocks. Because we have the curse ring so that Rosa can be RA1, and then just cast Mute, and then we have enough Bacchus wine to get through. I'd be really, really, really tempted to do Warlocks here.
I think that's a good call on your part. I think that's a very heads up to note that our dragon killing, right? We have those Artemis arrows, right? Like that could be our dragon killing, but
that's heads up. You're absolutely right. Sid could do some serious work here, and you could just change your anchor with a curse ring.
Right. Or Rosa, right? But there we go. Lofoz is at 10 with plenty of sirens, right? Like if it were me, right? Like this is the time when you go back underground and you crack eggs until you're happy.
Yeah. So he unfortunately
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You can use that for the hook too, right? Like that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, for the hook you get that one, and the magma key you get the other one.
Skull, can I hire you to help me with my stream, like on my own, to like have like fun? Like, look at all the confetti. Look at all this. I feel like I'm watching.
Yeah, our commission's open right now.
All right,
that's
all right.
fair. Not right now because there's a tournament as well.
That's totally fair. In the meantime, that's an unfortunate paralysis on our Avenger Kane, kind of delaying this process a little bit. It is opening the door for Lofoz to touch. I'm a little surprised that without the pass that we are with 6 bosses down. I'd maybe be a little more inclined to directly go to the moon, but and we're gonna see his take just a little bit longer here because he's fast anchored.
It's interesting that you've now pivoted away from the pass, where like before having the pass not having the pass made this a good check, and now not having the pass makes it a bad check. But it really is the difference of having 2 bosses out versus 1.
Yeah, because if it's 7th boss, you fade the moon entirely.
Right, and then like if you had the pass, right, like you just don't even have to launch the whale, right? Like that's where it switched here, right? And so I wanted to call that out because that's so interesting. Okay, Artemis arrows are definitely there, and Vitasia just doesn't seem interested.
I wonder if so one thing I've been personally trying to get better at, and Lord knows it's a struggle, is inventory management. So lately in a lot of my seeds, I've been trying to just go ahead and kind of put things there. And I have found that it personally helps me in 2 ways. 1, keeping my stuff more organized. But honestly, 2, it reminds me what I have. I cannot tell you how many seeds I've had. I'm like, oh, right, I got Power Shirt. Oh, I have a Zeus Golem. I never put that on. Or, oh, I got Arty Arrows from Dwarf. It's easy to write it off as, well, that was a zonk. And then you kind of forget. So it's a totally understandable thing.
Yeah, I mean, you got this from a dwarf castle that, right, like was essentially just Dullsville, right? Like, and that you had to not warp glitch, right? Like, there was nothing to remember about that dwarf castle sequence, right? Like, why would you remember that it was anything but a zonk, right? Yeah. You called it out when it happened that, like, oh, like those Artemis arrows help kill dragons, but. Right, like it's very easy to let that slip your mind. Yeah, no, I mean, inventory management and remembering what's in your inventory are huge parts of this game, right? Like that can cost you, and everybody struggles with it, right? Like everybody has to learn the tricks, has to learn, right? Like, I'm not very good at seeing like our discard stuff, right? Like I can't quite read fast enough for a speed reader. That's embarrassing to see what the item is before I R it, right? Like, yeah, it's real. It's very real. So, like, no shade to Vitasia for missing it. Like we and other like roll the dice, right? Like we'd miss one too.
See, if you just loot everything, then you don't have to worry about throwing it away. Duh, just
right,
get all the items 5 head. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, just sell everything and never run into the inventory boss somehow.
Correct.
It doesn't take time to sell stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well. Speaking of boss checks, Lofoz maybe. I mean, if Lofoz checked the package, we just got the Luca key from the Panbonk.
Yeah.
Is he heading now?
Lofoz is gonna walk that. Lofoz has warp, right? Like, so if this pays out, it's not a disaster,
right?
I mean,
both of these bosses here. I mean, Golbez will kill himself here if set up properly, but D-Mist here is. Awful. This spot is incredibly quick. I think it's what 66 agility, something
truly high. Yeah,
absurdly fast. So darts will more than likely go flying if it's here. Golbez is just a matter of getting set up, and even if you botch the setup the first time, the additional save slot is so close to the fight that a quick reset really is not that big of a deal. So quite a bit of divergence here, and I think that's what needs to happen. If Lofoz continued to just do everything that Vitasia was doing, grind and 10 key items aside, Lofoz likely just doesn't finish. So whether he realizes it or not, whether this divergence is by design or not, this is checks like this might be what he needs to do.
That's a very good call. Yeah, it's a classic. Like sometimes the classic question is, can you beat your opponent in a foot race? And if you believe the answer is no, then you have to beat them in like a routing race, right? And like that's exactly what this kind of play is, right? It would be nice if we hit the pass at any point in this chain set, because that would like really pay off, right? Like saving us launch and walk. Oh baby.
Yeah.
But we know there's no key item here. So what is the boss?
Well, the truth. Oh no, no,
just
no,
CPU.
no, 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 nope, 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 nope,
No.
nope, nope, just no to all of that. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I agree.
So maybe at this point, Lofoz is down to only 2 boss spots between Twin Harp and Tower Key. You have to imagine he's in full-blown face check mode. The only reason that you turn in the pan, which it looks like he's going to do, is in hopes of getting the pass. That is really the only reason why you would do it at this point.
Or the Twin Harp.
Or
Right?
this
Like,
one.
if you're really desperate for, don't have to face check the moon, can just grind and go, right? Like Twin Harp would be a hit here. Tower Key would be a hit here.
Tower
Right.
Key would be more tempting for me than
Agree.
Twin Harp.
Tower Key is
because
much faster.
much faster. Let's see.
Just
Just
ninja
the ninja
shirt.
shirt.
Can't use 2 of those.
Feels bad. So Vitasia, so in the time that Lofoz has done all of this, Vitasia is still working through his gold dragon. So you can see those HP totals getting high. You can see that his party is getting Z ready, but it has taken a little bit of time. Vitasia is certainly ahead, but this is certainly not over.
That's right. No, and like I think you'll see the difference when Lofoz decides to, smash, do whatever smashing they need. That it will just be faster. Dragons on the moon will be fine with the hourglasses. You mentioned the mute knife and such, making a wizard grind or very easy.
Or like you pointed out, if Lofoz remembers about the arty arrows, if you curse a Palom on his side, and then if they still have that arty bow, I mean that's well more than enough to go ahead and get Rosa to RA1. You put
Arty is Sid's best weapon, and we have it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's we legitimately just have Sid's best weapon.
To answer your question in chat, we did not check the boss at top of tower, which was something not required. I want to say Antlion. We haven't seen Tower Key. We have seen there is a sparkle, an undeterminate sparkle in the Leviathan spot.
Yep.
And we have seen that it is Vivalis at K value, but we have not seen the giant, or we have not seen any of the bulk of the LST.
Yep. We have seen package. We've seen every key item that's sitting there is right. Like the darkness crystals are the only one that has bosses out. Right. So yeah, and Vitasia is finally through murdering those poor coily dragons, and onward to the lunar core, more than likely.
Yep. So, finding the good news about the Bacchus wine, for a still, I know the Palom isn't there, but for a still, there goes the arty bow.
There goes the Artemis bow.
There go the arty arrows.
All right.
So, depending on the grind choice, that option will be off of the table. Lofoz more than likely heading over for K value. Vitasia is staying at the inn that we have at home.
Good inn, but you're still hungry.
I'm always hungry. That's why I want some breakfast for brunch. I'm not over it.
That's fair. Breakfast is very good. Big fan. But pizza, man, like my life for the entire last 2.5 years has been eat an entire pizza a week, right? Like guaranteed, like 100%.
I mean,
maybe two.
I mean, that's living your best life, isn't it?
And we're talking Chicago style pizza, right? Like we're talking, right? Like 2 pieces a day.
Okay, as a Jersey lover, I love where I live. You have you have hurt
such
me.
good pizza.
We do to mention
no shade to New York style pizza, right? Like I enjoy it. I consider it more of a snack-ish like thing. I can eat a ton of it, right? Like, but it is very good. Like, let's not lie to ourselves about the fact.
That's fair. As we should probably talk about the match. I didn't even see who's at the.
That was Dolls. Dolls are at Mura.
Thank you. I was very busy thinking about the John Stewart rant about deep dish pizza.
I don't know if I can either throw in a coin and make a wish.
My wish would be for some real. This is PG-13 pizza.
Yeah. No, I remember that one. That was great. Like, no shade. Like, Chicago pizza is basically a casserole.
Chicago's an amazing town. Just pizza wise, I got my preferences.
No, that northeast kind of that belt, right? Like up in the northeast, the Jersey, New York area, right? Like just can put together really good pizza. And like I said, no shade, right? Like I know that there's kind of a rivalry there, but I just love pizza, man.
And no, pizza's delicious. And I'm now currently getting hungry.
So yeah, Lofoz has decided to do the dragon grind, right? Like, and same place, hourglasses. Right, like, but with 10 key items, that's 180,000 experience rather than 90. So it's going to be twice as fast. Right, like in theory, we'll see how high I'd want to take the Palom though. Right, like that's the poor. I'm sorry, that's the big question.
Yeah, that edge still in the back row. Not or it might be back row now. Because before
it should be back row now because they didn't check. They didn't check weapon shops in either of the places that I think the edge was, the full moon was. So there might still be back road.
All right. Vitasia skipping over Crystal Sword Altar for now. Let's see who we have at the White Spirit Altar.
We're in one and go, right? Like we're looking for density.
We found it. So, looks like we're going to go ahead and try. So we don't have a Black Mage. We can't do Piggy strats. I guess we could technically do size strats, although I feel like the magic with Golbez here is like nothing.
It's not high, no. Like the magic here is not high. Rosa had better have some paralysis protection if you're hoping of getting that wall off.
I think she
jump though. Will the jump stay in the air?
Down she goes. I don't know. That's so hard to time.
I think the jump stays in the air, right? Like he's doing the whole shadow sequence now, right? Like it's a pause before the shadow sequence. So I think Golbez did. I think that the eggs is in the air and you've saved yourself a piece. Yep. So Kane will be alive at the end of the sequence no matter what.
Yep. And not having the Avenger on, knowing that honestly, not having the Avenger on for both bosses is brilliant. Because leaving that thing on for D-Mist is a nightmare when it goes into Mist phase, and having it on for this exact reason is a nightmare. That's so smart.
No, that is incredibly smart. That is very strong play by Vitasia.
So we've seen a lot of points along the way here from Vitasia just showing off just a real, not just a knowledge of the game, but really high execution, staying back, because you and I both know how it is in a race. I mean, And especially when you get to this point, you just found your go mode and you're underground, and he might not be feeling great about how that grind went with 9 key items and maybe wasn't as fast as he wanted. And to keep that balance and that poise is just tremendous.
Yep, absolutely. And that's now the Avenger's on and the murder can begin. And as long as we're gonna make this fight go as fast as possible. This is the plague spot, doesn't have a ton of HP compared to the place next door. So we just want Golbez down as fast as possible.
Yeah, and we just saw a Lit 3 hit for all of, 800?
Yeah.
So Golbez not going to kill himself here. That Avenger is, even though I think it's glitched on the Blizzard Spear, still doing quite a bit of work.
I caught that too, that it was still glitched on the Blizzard Spear.
Yep. So, this is like next
month. Oh, that's cute. You did about 10% of Yang's current HP.
Yeah, so this Golbez is not long for this world. That Dart Spear for that and even that little bit right there, just moving the Drain Spears up in the inventory so that you don't have to scroll down a little bit with a different character.
And so, to briefly mention that we've mentioned Drain Spears a couple of times in the seed for their throwability. It's their ratio of cost to high damage is very good because of that -10 stat thing. Right, like they have been scaled back to a ton of raw attack power to make it usable, right? And so like they still have that ton of attack power for the dart purpose, right? So that's why they They cost a low amount compared to other equivalent darts, and they are overscaled for darting.
And Vitasia showing that off. Gets his crystal and is a very short walk away from meeting his date with Destiny with Zeromus at the very bottom of the LST.
Look, 11th key item, right on time.
He should keep looking for the Advent rock so he can forge. I think that's a good technique.
Not without the pass. Let's be real.
Not without the pass. That is true. So we'll be getting set up here. This Z fight is not guaranteed. That Rosa could certainly go down with an unnuked Big Bang, but given the anchoring and given the HP totals on some of our characters, I think it is likely that Vitasia is going to be fine here. Also, I believe with Battle Speed 1 and that Avenger on, we might be seeing a Avenger glitch the crystal.
Ooh, interesting.
So that'll provide immediate nerf.
I think Rosa's on Protect or Crystal Ring. Something not worth mentioning is a hat and Sorcerer Robe, right? Like, so that's definitely not the most defensive robes I had seen.
Right.
In terms of handling these the big magic attacks.
Mm-hmm. But more importantly, clearly, what's up with chat, Mecca?
I don't know. I forgot to open chat because this was such a speedy seed. I'm assuming they're like doing some sort of meme thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What meme thing are they doing?
Well, Prof Ness is asking a nice little variation on here. To do the little spiel very quickly, obviously we can't be randomizing the location of Zeromus. He's too big, too bad, too powerful. We can't put him at the Tower of Zot. That Zot would just come crashing down. The game would be broken. Instead, the amazing, wonderful, and talented Skull Kitty has given us approximately in the area of 600 different sprites, so that while Zeromus will be the same script, the look will be entertaining and different, leading us to the question of what kind of pizza will he eat?
What kind of pizza will he eat? Yeah. What's your favorite pizzas, Ramis? How do you feel about brunch?
Yeah.
Does the moon, we will punish who?
Does Butt prefer breakfast or lunch? I love that.
Why not a buffet? Zeromus could take down a buffet, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, listen, hold on. A buffet wasn't even on the table. But anyway.
Whoa.
Is that Megamind?
No, it's Crash series. Oh, okay. That's why I didn't recognize it. That's definitely a big brain villain, though.
Okay. Well, regardless, again with very high tech. We talked about it earlier. So the Avenger will, in this very specific situation of Kane being RA1 in the top spot and Battle Speed 1, will go ahead and mimic the throwing of the crystal, and as a result, you'll go ahead and you'll get that first nerf in on the Big Bag. Right. So, able to go ahead and take care of that quickly. Rosa can go ahead and heal up Kane before the nerf Big Bang comes out. We've got 4 Zerkers, and we are off to the races here.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to do the Silk Web, but you're okay with that ish.
I recently learned that Silk Webs are really more for Reflect Strats and for mages, and if you're going to be doing menuing, it doesn't really matter as much when you're doing full-blown Berserk.
That's right. At our RA1 Berserk, it matters, but it only changes Zeromus into RA2 at best, right? Like compared to your RA1s and an RA5, right? Like in a perfect anchoring situation, it's something, but it's not all as much something as you think. Versus the same calculation when you're doing Reflect Strats is a much bigger difference.
Yeah, and Mary pointing out that when we have fast anchoring, if we have a sea hero situation, Silk Webs become significantly more important.
Yes, absolutely true.
So I'm trying to math this out here to see how much we're going to be doing per round here. The danger part of having looks like probably around 8,500, 9,000 with Sid doing his Sid best.
Yep, that's about right.
It's a little, if the nerf doesn't, because we might need to nerf a second one here, although that might have been the refill right there. The nerf can be a little difficult to time, And if you do nerf it correctly, but the counter nuke hits Rosa, you're in some trouble.
Yep.
All the gear that you talked about, I mean, that nerfed Big Bang did like next to nothing in terms of damage with her, and that was a fake shake, so we're in pretty good shape here. But if Rosa goes down to an unnerfed Big Bang, it could be a little terrifying.
There was another big pause there. We might be in medio phase already. No, that's not true. If it's a big pause, it would have fired for medio.
Mm-hmm. But Vitasia is being very patient, which is the right decision. Fewer inputs are better. Berserk doing Berserk things, and you can just see for yourselves the pile going out here. So we'll see if he decides to just leave it alone. Sometimes with these HP totals, you kind of get into combo platter territory, which is when the Big Bangs followed immediately by medio. Let's see what happens.
I think we're very much in that territory, actually. I think that if this doesn't tip him over into medio phase, that he's going to do a Big Bang, and he will almost certainly go into medio after it.
Here is the Big Bang. Rosa evaded the nerfed one quite well. I'd be surprised if she goes down here. That's really the linchpin to all this, and she's fine. So does the Cure 4 go off? And also with 4 Zerk, I mean, you're going to get a lot more actions here. So even if you do tip into, I think Vitasia's in good shape.
Okay. Yep, we're fine now. Lofoz, in the meantime, did go up and check Crystal Altar and found nothing. Found the Nope Noodle and noped out and is now at Golbez.
Yep. So not that far behind. Has completed his grind and will be at his Z-Fight shortly, but we are at rocks on Vitasia's side. It is just a matter of time. This is over. Vitasia will be our winner.
Yep.
And there it is.
Yep, GG's to Vitasia. Once you see the rocks, if you have like 1,000 HP left on an entire party, it's done. Like, he's just not going to kill you in time.
Yeah. RA1 Zergers will get 3 swings off, and when you have 4 of them, it's all but done. I believe with that ding in our ears, we are joined by today's winner at 1 hour, 23 minutes, 12 seconds. Vitasia, GG's, and welcome.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Thanks.
GG's in great time.
So
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you showed off a lot of very niche and specific tech and knowledge, so it was very, very enjoyable for us to watch. What were your overall thoughts on the seed?
It felt like it was pretty straightforward. Before diving into the underworld, having both the Baron Key and Earth Crystal kind of already out of the way was fantastic. And I think by that point, we were 4 of 8 already done. So it felt like the early part of the seed was just kind of gift wrapping us and said, hey, here's your path, do this, and you are fine. I think because I'm a big fan of fading Fabul early and kind of wrapping it in a little bit later, so I think that was a 5th boss. So Lofoz was probably thinking, real good, 5 of 8 going into underground, but I faded that kind of intentionally. But otherwise it felt just like a pretty straightforward seed, all things said.
Well, so A, Lofoz did the Fabul skip as well. So, but B, what about not having that Black Mage at Dwarf Castle?
I was a little bit nervous about that, yeah. But I also, in a boss hunt, the priority is really going to be on the bosses. So I know I like the big things for the overworld, I had already kind of found. I found Baron and Earth Key, so everything else was kind of minor in terms of the key items that I needed to find. So the bosses were really the priority. And so it wasn't as big of a hit. It's no different than, waiting to go into Luca Cave anyway to check that boss. Was I nervous about that key item? Yes, absolutely. I think, if I read my logs correctly, that was a key item, and that would have been my 10th key item, which would have cut my grind time in half.
Yep.
So I'm a little bit upset about that. But other than that, it was just, hey, I've made the commitment to have kind of a melee heavy party, so let's roll.
Makes sense. Yeah. Bit and follow through. It was Pink Tail, right? Like, and that would have given you that 10th key item. When you saw darkness, that really kind of alleviated a lot of that concern, right? Like that's the item you're really afraid of being there, right? Like,
yeah, and I think if it would have been there, then we would have.
Real
Darkness. But if darkness would have been hidden at that point, then I would logically I would have known I would have got the Luca key. So there's some logic games to it as well. So was I a little bit nervous? Yeah. Would I have changed my party? Probably not, honestly. Honestly, Edge was kind of the low swinger on this one out of my melee. I had Sid kind of set up from the get-go between that Dwarf Axe and a Cursed Ring as the lowest of low anchors. And I was just looking for some Hanzo steel and nothing came up. Oh my gosh.
Nothing came up. No, it's the best weapon we saw was a ninja sword in the Baron in triple chests.
And I faded those of all things.
So yeah, your Edge was very underpowered. Your full moons were longsword equivalent, right? That was a big power upgrade for you.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, fantastic. I got full moon and mute knife. Okay, yeah, this'll I can make this work for Zemus. This isn't so bad.
Not so bad.
When you found the Bahamut summon, did you have any temptation to go back and get rid of you?
Not really. I mean, that part of me considered it, but the way that this seed kind of laid itself out to be very straightforward, very kind of, here's your path, go as fast as you can. I think doing anything to kind of gut off that path, because then you would have had to commit to getting her at least a few levels kind of deviating there, and that's not more than 2-3 minutes, but 2-3 minutes could have made the difference in this one. Sure. So it was just one of those, when it lays you out in such a straightforward path, you kind of got to just go, because there's no room for error at that point.
Yeah, I think you might have just gotten it a little too late.
Yeah.
Well, with your win today, you are off to what might be the best name in Free Enterprise, to Stupid Sexy Flanders next week.
I saw him race a couple days ago.
Yeah. How are you feeling about that?
Everyone in this tournament is dangerous. I've kind
Agreed.
It's one of those situations where everyone, the entire community has elevated their gameplay so much over the past even couple years, but even then, everyone is good. So you can't take any weeks off. You got to keep practicing and keep trying to learn different things. I think especially with these flags, there's a lot that's still out there that's being discovered and being learned right now. So you got to keep studying. You got to see what other people are doing. And, now I got to start studying Flanders a little bit. So this is going to be a fantastic week of races coming up. I'm just, hopeful to stay alive as long as I can, honestly.
Well, you showed off a lot of skills today, my friend. And I think that if you continue...
I have meme questions for you, though.
You have what?
I have meme questions for you.
Okay. Why
do you hate waffles?
Look, I wrote everything down before, I assigned the names of everyone, before I saw the seed. Waffles was going to be the home run, if it's Foo. So,
okay, I forget.
It's not that I hate waffles. It's that predetermined Scala Kitty decided to roll a seed where we were not going to be served waffles today.
All right, that's fair. We can blame Scala for that one. All right, I'm with you. All right, you're forgiven.
Wow.
Overall, though, my breakfast seemed to be, pretty tasty. I intentionally set up so that in order to have a healer, it was mimosa for Rosa, Bailey's for Porum, and if we really get desperate, whiskey for Rydia.
God, I love Bailey's. Oh, God, I love Bailey's. I'm Irish. I love coffee.
I wish I liked mint enough to like Bailey's.
Oh, it's so good.
But
anyway, I digress.
It's a good brunch choice.
I'm sorry?
It's a good brunch choice. It checks out.
It's a good choice at most times. I mean, we got winter coming up, right? Go by the fireplace, little Bailey's on the rocks, get some, I don't know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the TV. Snap, crackle, bop, sip, all good things.
Hot chocolate with any whiskey in it.
Correct. Man, this has been a stream. So, any other thoughts on the seed, Vitasia, or any other closing thoughts about how things went today?
No, just it was absolutely fantastic. I put way too much thought into my breakfast theme names. You know, Grits was Edward because grits are disgusting and you need to throw those away right away.
Wow.
Gotta put some cheese in them at least. Like, let's be realistic about that.
I mean, if you ever been to Waffle House, you can get some slice, some chunks, some dice, some...
Oh, yeah. Waffle House would do everything to cover up the fact that the grits themselves are just grits.
Wow! I have been attacked on all, hitting me on my Jersey pizza, my drinking at 1:44 in the afternoon, and now on my Waffle House on my road trips. I have been saying for like a year and a half
Waffle House.
that this is the nicest community, and
Waffle House.
oh, it's so good.
You can buy 2 waffles there. Just do you want a double waffle breakfast?
I absolutely want a double waffle breakfast. Why are we asking absurd, ridiculous questions?
Oh, this is great.
Oh, so I mean, I guess final thoughts. Just thanks, John Burkhead and Mecca for doing the commentary. I'm really looking forward to watching this one back. Scala for rolling the seed and letting us meme until our hearts delight. And Darth Plagueall was our tracker, so Darth for pushing the buttons and not nomming them too hard. So, it was just a fantastic race, and I'm just happy to be a part of it, and looking forward to next week.
I think we're looking forward to you too, based off today, man. You're gonna do great.
Great. Yep. GG's again, and thank you for your time, and have a good rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, take care.
I can have it. So that was today's winner, Vitasia, with a time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 12 seconds. While I was throwing my temper tantrum, Lofoz is doing a wonderful job through here, understanding that he has the HP totals where he doesn't really need to go ahead and nerf that much. He's got Zerk up, he's got Whites being reflected off to go ahead. Oh, not being reflected.
That was direct White. Salty. And it pushed over a threshold, no counter.
Calculated. Gotta love that.
That is good White right there. I'm impressed.
So might be heading to rocks. We are.
And Medio.
Yep, I think Yang's gonna be just fine here.
Yeah.
So we'll get some swings off here. I don't. And there. Look at that.
Beautiful. That was a beautiful close to that Z fight.
Correct. So Lofoz finishing very, very, very strong with a time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 2 seconds. What a wonderful, wonderful run for Lofoz. Coming up a little bit short today, but certainly showing off his skills and showing himself in our room. GG's on the race.
Yeah. So yeah, that was quite the race. Love the pizzas. Big fan of pizza.
I was told breakfast food, and I mean pizza's an anytime food. So
pizza is an anytime food. That's true. That's true. What were your overall thoughts on the seed?
I think the seed was fine. I know everybody in this league is really, really good, and I've been out of the game for a while, so I know like if I just played straight up like I would like to, I'd stand like somewhat of a chance, but I felt like I really needed to make some gambles to secure a win, you know. So I made a couple gambles that didn't pay out, and I think that's what did it.
No, I think that's heads up of you, right? Like recognizing that, like whether you're the lead gonna, you know, what your chances are in a foot race and adapting appropriately. I love that. So that's very heads up of you. Yeah. And yeah, it was kind of linear, right? So it ended up being, you know, a straightforward-ish path as far as that goes.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I made a few little mistakes here and there. I mean, I used my siren instead of sorting. That was fun. I bought a self summon for my Rydia that I just got rid of. That was smart.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a common thing that's been told to me by people I really respect in this game is that you're not racing against perfection. Everyone's gonna be making those mistakes. I can remember in it was either ZZ4. I think it's ZZ4. Instead of equipping a light sword, I equipped the legend sword on Cecil for an embarrassing long time. Things happen, man. It's just
Things
part of the
happen.
game.
Yeah, speaking of swords, I completely forgot I had that Avenger just chilling there for a long time.
For a bit, yeah. On the other hand, speaking of swords, you found the ninja sword in Baron and your opponent did not, and so suffered through the seed with a much weaker edge for a very long time.
Oh yeah, was that just in like
Just in the Baron in
was.
chest, like right next to Luge and the pig having their run.
Oh. Yeah, I always make those checks. One time I got a Zeus gauntlet. I think my last race I got a Zeus gauntlet there. I was like, oh cool.
That's real good.
And T Wilder's doing T Wilder's things. I think there was a while before my time, or when I first started lurking, that it was like the meta that when the siege starts to go ahead and like loot all of the town of Barrett. That used to be. It's before my time, but I think I remember watching races a long time ago where that's the thing that people would do. They would go through, and because the gear can be good there, and you're going to check that spot anyway. So I think that's pretty heads up. It's only a couple seconds, and the payoff is huge.
When we were doing less scale, like when we had less scaling, right? Like when we didn't have as much of like the T Wildish or T Pro type things, when it was much more even, right? Like then, right, like Baron Town's a lot of early checks. You get a decent amount of information, and who knows, like you could hit an easy jackpot. Right?
Yeah, the waiting, that was before everything was weighted behind key items and such.
So, I think so there's some knowledge really being used there. My big question for both you and for Vitasia was, did the Bahamut summon make you question going back and getting Rydia?
I don't even know where I got that at. I didn't even know it was in my inventory till I sold it. I don't even know where it came from. I was like, oh well. Usually I'm not much of I like pick my party. I'm a big fan of Palom over Rydia, and then I just go. I'm just like, okay, this is it. Let's do it.
It makes sense. I mean, Palom early Quake and early Virus and generally stronger stats, so that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep, I think I looked at it and I thought it through, and I was like, okay, I lost by 11 minutes to Vitasia, so like I'm definitely not upset about that in the first place. But like 11 minutes is approximately a package check plus Luca key check plus double dip of Sylph Cave. I'd have been right there, like side by side.
You put on a great show. There was a lot of divergence that kind of met up. You were about 4 minutes behind getting underground, but you had warp, whereas Vitasia did not. If warp glitch had ended up being significant, that would have been a big deal. And you had 10 key items going into your grind, whereas he did not. So it was definitely 11 minutes might seem like a lot, but it was closer than it looks.
How did watching it back from your guys' perspective, how'd that early Evelyn dip, how'd that turn out for me? I don't think I got much out of there though.
My big thought was you found a curse ring and you found quite a bit of gear, so you had plenty of money. I think, in my opinion, the biggest thing that you caught out of there was knowledge, knowing that while the King Queen spot could have been very rough, that it was some kind of guard in the Ruby spot means that at a minimum, half of that hook route is free. So how much do you really need to grind before you get down there?
Right.
And I personally love the early check of Leviathan because Leviathan can trivialize the overworld. Right, and so like knowing that Leviathan is there and that you have a Rydia for me usually speaks to keeping Rydia. But I love the check, right? Like not whether you keep Rydia or not, right? Like I love knowing that this is Rydia's floor, right?
Right.
When Rydia's floor is no summons, right? Like Rydia goes to the tower, and when Rydia's floor is Leviathan, right? Like maybe you keep her, right? Like so I love that check for the knowledge. Without exit, you were smart to go all the way in and then loot on the way out, right? Like that is heads up as well, right? Like since you didn't have exit.
Right. Yeah, I ended up buying Leviathan, and then I found Palom, and I was like, damn it. Okay.
Yeah, I know that happens sometimes.
Absolutely. Well, will we be seeing? I know you mentioned you had kind of come back to the community. Unfortunately, this will be the end of your run with DZ5, but will we be seeing you in community races and the ladder moving forward? I hope that we will.
Possibly. I don't know. It's just this game is always just kind of like an itch type thing, you know. Like, oh, you know, I haven't played that in a minute. I want to try it, and I love the tournaments. That's my favorite. So I mean, I'll probably pop in the next tournament. Why not?
Hey, sounds good to me. And there's many different ways to play free enterprise, and that's a perfectly valid one.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for the restream commentary, tracking, all that stuff. Awesome job.
Well, an awesome job to you. GG's on a wonderful race today.
GG's.
Thanks,
and yeah,
guys.
thank you for being the feature.
All right. We'll see ya.
All right, so that was Lofoz after a wonderful showing. We have a very full day of free enterprise coming up still. So our next race is at 3 p.m. on the main channel. That's Red Moon Waning with Zilch and Mike. At 7 o'clock, Solaris versus Possum Game 3. That's a Red Moon Waxing. Winner of that goes to the finals. So that'll be some must-see TV also on the main channel. Zoe Vermillion, Free Enterprise Legend, going against Beauty and Discovery with some Blue Moon Waning. That's also 7 o'clock, RPG Limit Break. Sorbius versus IB Karma at 8 o'clock on Free Enterprise 2. And Rybon versus Pyre Game 3 at Free Enterprise 3 at 9 o'clock. Mecha, those are some...
We've got some hot matches now, especially in the waxing brackets, right? Like we're getting close to the finals, as you kind of mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So we've got some very, very good matches coming up for the rest of the day.
We do. But for where we're going right now, we're going to show some love to a different community. Profound Disorder is doing the Fantasy Star 4 Rando by Lady Starbird. So we're going to go ahead and head over there a little bit. Please go ahead and show some love, and I'm sure we'll see many of you in some of those amazing races we have coming up later on today.
Yep. And again, thanks to the rest of the supporting team, our restreamer, Scala Kitty, our tracker, Darth Plagle, my Artemis brother, Rickety Rick, and yeah, me as well, I guess.
Absolutely, man. This was fun. This was a blast.
It was fun.
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, we will see you all at another time.
All right. Y'all take care.